Welcome back to Wanderlusting Lawyer. I know it's been a while since I've posted any new videos. I'm sorry about that. I've been traveling a lot for work, but I'm back in town now for a while, and don't worry, I have made a list of all the ideas I have for new videos, so I hope to be posting them about once a week at least in the coming weeks and months. Today I want to talk about a question I see asked frequently, and one that really caused me a lot of anxiety before I started my Camino, and that was hiking poles, to bring them and use them or not to. I've got to admit, I had never used hiking poles before the Camino, but I'd also never done hiking with, anything other than a day pack on my back. So I didn't really understand their utility. I kind of thought they were just for people, 50, 60 and up who needed help for their joints. I'm lucky I haven't really had any joint issues, so I think I didn't really understand what their usefulness would be. And I was also a little bit nervous about the price because, at least here in America, I think when people talk about them, they talk about, oh, you have to buy the Z folding poles or the this or that. And I mean, those can cost $100, $200, a lot more, and can even be a lot more expensive. So for something I wasn't even sure I was going to want to use or like, I was pretty apprehensive about paying that price. So what I ended up doing, I had sort of a crisis on the morning I left from Saint-Jean to go to Horizon, and I freaked out and convinced myself I needed to at least buy one pole. So I went to the trekking shop right there in Saint-Jean, and I looked at their different options. What's great is that they have so many different options. Everything from the most basic pole, which I think maybe was 6 or 10 euros, to one wooden walking stick, which is what I'd wanted to do at the beginning because I thought it was like the coolest, most authentic looking, all the way up to really expensive, high technology poles. I spoke with the lady working there, and she suggested one kind of in the middle. I think it was 20 or 25 euros. It had a cork handle, and it had shock absorbing tips, which meant that the pole kind of compressed when you press down. And she also recommended I buy extra tips for the metal end of the pole, which was phenomenal advice. And if I can piggyback off that, buy extra tips, and don't buy the €1 tips. Buy the €5 or €3 Leki tips. I went through probably 4 or 5 regular cheap rubber tips because I wore holes in them as I was walking, but the Leki tips were awesome, and I never wore through them. So you get what you pay for sure. And the nice thing is that what I would do is that when I was on asphalt, which a lot of the Camino Frances is, I would put the tips back on, and then when I'd get into dirt areas where that was slippery and wouldn't work well, I would take the tip off and just put it in my pocket. And I kept a little wipe for that because you never kind of know what's on the ground on the Camino, so just try to stay sanitary. But anyway, yes, I bought one pole, and I have to say that about 45 minutes into my hike up to Horizon, I was the happiest person in the world to have bought the pole. In addition to, really helping you, especially as you're going uphill, I found that it just helps give a nice rhythm as you walk. It kind of lulled myself into a peaceful state of walking with the little rhythm I developed and I didn't ever learn, I think, the proper technique. Everyone says learn the proper technique. I don't know if I learned it or not, but I found that it was really helpful, and it was almost like having a companion. I walked alone that first day to Horizon. I left late, and I saw only 2 other pilgrims on the way up, so I don't know, it was kind of like having a little companion with me as I went. So I loved the pole so much that I actually ended up buying a second one in Logroño, but unfortunately they didn't have any cork handled ones, and they didn't have any that were as high quality as the pole that I had bought in Saint-Jean, but I think it ended up costing the same price. So I did walk with 2 poles. They were collapsible poles, so I actually often ended up keeping one just attached to my backpack, and then in really steep uphills or downhills, I would use the second one. The other great thing about having 2 poles is that if you're only using one and you see someone struggling without any poles, you really get a chance to kind of tap into that true pilgrim spirit and help, prove the moniker that the Camino provides and lending your pole to somebody else. This happened to me on this super steep descent into Leon because the bridge was closed. It was complete mud. It had been raining all morning and a woman was slipping and sliding everywhere with no poles. So I was able to give her one of mine. And then I just waited for her at the bottom and she returned it and was so thankful. So I really enjoy being able to help her out. And for me, because I am, younger and more in shape, I could carry on that burden of having the second pole, the extra pound or whatever it was attached to my backpack. So I think for my next Camino, not yet planned, but what I would love to do is buy high quality poles because I had a couple, my Camino family, 2 cousins from California, they had really high quality REI poles. I think they're probably $100 poles for the set. They were so lightweight and wonderful. They let me try them and I noticed a huge difference. You don't think about it, but as you're, using your arms, having extra weight actually starts to work your forearms, maybe a little more than you want. So I would love to buy really nice, more lightweight poles for the next one. Cork handles for me are a must. I thought that was way more comfortable than the hard plastic handle of the second pole that I bought. And, I actually left my poles in Santiago when I was there. When I arrived, the pilgrims office was collecting poles for a special project they were doing. So I just left mine there. But if you want to keep yours, like if they're high quality or just really meaningful to you, I have heard that the Santiago airport, you can't fly with them in your carry-on, but they will pack them and ship them for free, or check them for free. So that's a good option as well. So in sum, just buy one pole, even if it's the cheapest pole in Saint-Jean or wherever you start, just buy it, try it out. I am pretty sure you're absolutely gonna love it and maybe end up buying a second one like I did. Please drop a like if you found this video useful and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.